So, here we are, the final frontier of 2D Metroid games, as we stand face to face with the official remake of the Game Boy classic Metroid 2 Return of Samus, known as Samus Returns, for the Nintendo 3DS. Is this the remake we deserve, or is it a mistake like Other M? We're about to find out. This review contains spoilers, you have been warned. Just like always, with the Metroid reviews, we'll start with the title screen, and just like the original game, not much is going on the screen. We can see planet SR388 slowly spinning with the space in the background. Funny enough, the intro song starts out serious until it shifts over to a remixed version of the original song. You know, the one that tells a story about the horrors and genocide of the Metroid species that awaits until it ends with the original game's heart-like silent Metroid shrieks. After pressing start, you get into a file select screen and it showcases Samus' ship, and as you progress in the game, Samus' appearance will change and a few other things will change as well. It's a nice touch. At the same time, a remix of the theme of Samus Aran is playing. After creating a new save file, the game will begin. The game's story is pretty much the same as the original. Travel to SR388 to exterminate all living Metroids. However, the story is told to you, the player, via text in the bottom screen. Since this is a 3DS game, both screens are used for different things in the game, but more about that later. Granted, the game will give you some backstory about previous events in the timeline, as well as showing pictures at the top screen. The game basically retells Zero Mission before letting you know that the Galactic Federation sent out an expedition of Federation police that went missing on the planet rather quickly. The Federation finds out about the Metroids on SR388 and send out Samus to take care of them. After that, you are treated to a cutscene which plays the same music from Super Metroid when Samus lands on Ceres Station. We see Samus travel to the planet and landing on the ground as Samus rises up from the ship and the game can begin. You control Samus using the 3DS control stick, and she jumps by pressing B. She shoots by pressing Y. You can still wall jump, but the game uses the stiff Metro Fusion wall jumping, so it's close to useless. You can free aim while holding the L button, and you toggle to missiles by holding the R button. You can counterattack enemies by pressing X, in which Samus will use her arm cannon as a melee attack. Counterattacking enemies will make them stagger and open them up for attacks. It's an essential move to the game, and by mastering it, you will make the game easier. I did not master this move myself and relied more on simply shooting the enemies, as you can rapid fire very easily by quickly pressing the Y button. The game takes place on the top screen while the map and menus are on the lower screen. While not having the menu active, you can press the screen after acquiring the morph ball to quickly go into the morph ball. I never used this feature myself, but it is there for those that find it useful. You can also toggle between different weapons using the bottom screen, but more about that later. The control pad is used to toggle between the game's new abilities called Aeon abilities, which you use or activate by pressing the A button. I will go through them all later. You can see them by pressing L when you have the main menu open. You can see your abilities by pressing R, while in the menu you can scroll around the map, choose different map areas and see different things on the map, thanks to its various icons. You can also activate amiibos for various effects, but since I neither have an amiibo reader nor the amiibos, I never used any of them and won't go through them in this review. You also have map pins if you want to pin down certain things on the map. I never used these as I forgot they existed and they aren't necessary to use. They exist to help you remember important things so they can be handy to use. There are 5 different colored ones and you can use up to 10 of them in each of the game's areas. You can also check what all map icon means, and finally there is an option as well. Now let's go through the abilities and some changes the game has done in comparison to the original. Let us begin with the Aeon abilities. Scan poles! Scan poles let you scan your surrounding area and reveal the map layout within a designated square out area from where you stand. It's very handy, and I used it a lot when I played through the game, as it revealed the surrounding map area, which makes it easy to get around in the game. While it does remove the surprise of what the area ahead looks like, it's a great tool for first-time players to find their way without revealing the entire area at once. It also reveals secret blocks, so you have an easier time finding secrets. I basically found it too useful not to use. You use it by pressing up on the control pad and using the A button. It costs a fair amount from the Aeon bar to use. You can find Aeon tanks scattered throughout the game to increase the bar, and you get Aeon energy from killed enemies, as well as a huge amount by successive melee counterattacks. Lightning Armor! The Lightning Armor makes you invincible while you use it at the cost of Aeon energy. Depending on the damage output, it depletes quickly. Generally used to avoid taking damage from hazards such as the poisonous flowers and fly swarms, but can protect against hits from enemies and bosses, so it's useful to use to take a few more hits. Against bosses it tends to only hold 3 hits though. You activate it by selecting it with the left control pad button and pressing A. It needs to be deactivated with A unless you run out of energy, in which it deactivates automatically. It can be active alongside the remaining 2 Aeon abilities. It's very useful and it's an ability I used a lot. Beam Burst! Beam Burst makes your attack output stronger and turn your regular beam into a minigun, as it increases the rapid fire by a lot. It's used to kill enemies that need to be overheated in order to be killed by getting a lot of pressure hits on it for a short time, like plants and robots. Very useful if you want to deal quick damage to bosses or obliterates regular enemies. It's very useful against swarm enemies as well. Its only drawback is that it drains the Aeon energy really quick, but I ended up using it a lot throughout the game against both bosses and regular enemies. It's on the right control pad button and has to be activated and deactivated manually unless you run out of energy. Phase Drift! Well, it doesn't exactly stop time, but it slows it down for everyone but Samus. It makes it easier to go through fast-moving enemies, as well as dodging enemy and boss attacks. It's also used in timed puzzles, where doors closes after a few seconds, as well as being able to move a few seconds before crumbling blocks crumbles. Its general use is more for puzzles than in combat, since the Aeon energy drains constantly while in use. Yet another Aeon ability which you activate and deactivate manually. This time by pressing down on the control pad and then activating it. Probably the least useful out of the 4 Aeon abilities in my opinion, as I used it the least and stuck to use it for puzzles mostly. So, those are the 4 new abilities introduced. Let's go through some of the new additions to the older power-ups. The Spider Ball, for example, is getting a greater role than the original game, and will no longer be deactivated by Morph Ball bonus explosions. This is because the game introduces Power Bomb jumping in combination with the Spider Ball. Using a Power Bomb while holding the Spider Ball will make your power jump and ride through the room in a straight line, opposite to the direction you were attached to. The Spider Ball is now used by holding the R button, which can be a bit annoying, but makes it faster to use it. There are surfaces it can't roll onto, but those surfaces are yellow and kind of looks like honey. The Spider Ball is also incorporated into some boss fights, but I missed it completely as I treated it like its original counterpart, but more about that later. The Ice Beam are now a standalone weapon and doesn't kill some enemies, only freezes them to be used as platforms. Useful early on, but the usefulness disappears quickly. Ironically, the Metroids take damage from the Ice Beam now, so it's useful against the Metroids. That goes for all Metroids evolutions as well. The Grapple Beam makes a return to 2D Metroid after being absent since Super Metroid. Still makes a swing by attaching certain blocks glowing red, but is used for puzzles by latching onto blocks and destroying them or moving them with the Grapple Beam. While in free aim mode, you can also use it to drag yourself to higher altitudes if you can latch onto any grapple points from afar. Becomes both more useful and fun now, that the grapple beam is more like the grapple lasso from Metroid Prime 3. Other than those three, all weapons and power-ups from the original games comes back, as well as the gravity suit, super missiles, charge beam and power bombs. The missiles has the same hold to shoot function as Metroid Fusion Zero Mission, but have you tap between regular and super missiles with the bottom screen. The game's music is a bit of everything. You have some themes from the original games that has been remixed, like the Temple/Ruins theme. In fact, that song has two versions, one more ambient and one more upbeat. The upbeat one is better, but I enjoy the original more because of its mystique. The Baby Metroid theme is a remix as well, but this time it's not quite as upbeat as the original. It has a bit more sadness to it this time around. The credit theme is another one that has been remixed from the original, and it's as upbeat and happy as ever, but with a more victorious fanfare to it compared to the original. I like it quite a bit. The classic tunnel theme returns as well, but this time it sounds more like techno. I think I prefer the original here as well, to be honest. The ambient theme of Cabin 3 from the original returns as well as a remix, and while it's not as marvelous as the original, it's still a good theme. Mostly because it also has sections of Sector 3 from Fusion in it as well. The Metroid Hive theme returns as well, but it's slower, but it's still creepy, and this time on a new level than the original. There are some other great remixes of Super Metroid themes as well, like Theme of Samus and the Water Cave theme, which is a remix of Brinza Red Soil Area, which made my face go like this. There are of course a few new tracks as well, but most are unfortunately not the best, with the exception of the lab theme, which is the game's best original score. While this game was a step in the right direction, it's not without its flaws, and it's time for me to let you know what I think holds back the game a bit, and that is the game's level design. While the original game doesn't have the best layout of its areas, with a lot of dead ends and such, it at least had open areas which was easy and somewhat fun to traverse through. The original game world was interconnected with the main tunnel in easy to traverse sections. Samus Returns on the other hand divides up areas with elevators, making them a bit less interconnected in its whole. Of course, every other Metro game have had elevators into new areas, and that makes sense as well, but I wish the areas would be interconnected with each other instead of Area 3 only leading to Area 2 and 4. You would be able to access Area 6 from Area 3 by unlocking a route connecting them both for easy access. Instead, they opted for teleporters, which are fine because games such as Metroid Prime 2 had them, but just like Metroid Prime 2, they are scarce and placed at areas that aren't very convenient. Several are for example placed at far out the dead ends. There are a few open rooms, and the bigger rooms has mazes to traverse through in order to always make the item and the spider ball especially relevant throughout the entire game. It's good that they are all useful at all times, but it makes traveling tedious. It doesn't help how much each area is cramped up and how many dead ends there are. Funny enough, the third area from the original is my favorite, and I hated area number 4, the tower where you encounter Zeta Metroids. Ironically, that is the area I love the most in Samus Returns, as they made it into a water area where the water cave theme plays. Either way, the game is tedious to traverse through until you reach the water caves, where the rooms do open up a bit more and they become fun to traverse. The level design could be better, and it's the biggest flaw in my opinion. The game has changed up its boss fights, which are a nice touch, but it only introduces 2 completely new bosses to the game. I wish there were some more, even if they are fun to fight against. One thing I found especially interesting is that after getting the baby Metroid, you could use it to get some power-ups. Unfortunately, there is no real incentive to get 100% besides getting a gallery unlocks in the main menu. That is what I think the game could have done better. Other than that, I love the game, and I thought it was a pretty fun game. That is definitely in the right direction for the franchise in a 2D perspective. While this game is not the best, it's not the worst either, and I have to give the game credit for its own unique soul compared to the original game. If you like Metroid, You do owe it to yourself to get this game, especially if you like a challenging game, because oh boy will you die a lot in this game. The enemies in each new area was significantly stronger, so it always felt like the game world evolved alongside you. So, there we have it everyone. The entire classic 2D Metroid and, well, classic Metroid series in general is fully covered. Now you may wonder, will I go and move over to the Metroid Prime games now that I have covered, or reviewed rather, the classic Metroid series? And the answer to that is not quite yet actually. While it does have some very good games, like, you know, Metroid Prime 1 is very good, Metroid Prime 2 Echoes is very good, Metroid Prime 3 Corruption is very good. In fact, the Metroid Prime trilogy for the Wii is very good. It's all three combined. It also have, well, it has an alright spin-off game. It also have the worst spin-off game, Federation Forces. And it has the worst game in the entire series. Yes, in fact, it's even worse than Other M. And that is Metroid Prime Hunters. So, I definitely need a little break from Metroid, at least when it comes to reviewing the games. I do have another boss breakdown for Samus Returns after all. And, well, you know, it might even be hidden in this video. Who knows? Who knows? So, what will happen next for a series to cover on FrogFace? I think next up is going to be more focused on the Legend of Zelda series. So, look forward to that. But thank you very much for following through this journey of the classic Metroid series. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll stick around on my channel for my other reviews and my other content. And to be honest, I'm not quite done with classic Metroid even yet. There are still plenty of video ideas I have for it, so they're gonna pop up from time to time. There's plenty to go around with the breakdown series after all, and top 10 series, the countdown series in general. But either way, thank you very much for watching this review of Samus Returns. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified about my uploads, press the good old like, you know, thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let me know what you thought about the game or my review by leaving a comment down below. Now, I'm gonna cue the outro section, if this isn't already it. I don't know, we'll see. Take care everybody, thank you very much for watching, stay froggy everyone, and I hope to see you in my next review or video here on FrogFace. Take care everybody, have a great day. Welcome to the outro section of this video. Special thanks to my two Patreon supporters, Patrick Peterson and Hikikomori Media. If you want to subscribe, press over here at the frog. Otherwise, look at my other reviews over here, or playlist, mass playlist down here. Take care everybody, have a great day, and I shall see you next video. Take care everybody. Bye for now.